In the far reaches of Antarctica, there was a scientific expedition from Norway. When they were having fun sledding on the road, suddenly, they received a radar notification, so they had to stop quickly. But then the ice melted suddenly. 3 members of the scientific expedition and the car fell into a glacier. Luckily, it didn't take long for the car to get stuck in the middle of the gap. When the 3 of them calmed down and turned on their headlights, they were stunned to see an alien spaceship here. 2 days later, a doctor, his name was Sander, he found Mary in the laboratory. Mary was a very famous biologist at the University of Columbia. Doctor told Mary that a few days ago their team was in Antarctica and had discovered something amazing. He wanted to invite Mary to join the study. Since she was curious, Mary agreed. Then they took a helicopter to the Norwegian Scientific Research Station. When they got off the plane, Mary was taken by the doctor to a cave. At the deepest part of the cave, Mary saw a huge piece of metal. Turns out, it was a spaceship. Based on the age of the iceberg, the doctor told Mary that this spaceship had been here for at least 100,000 years. This shocked her and she was speechless. After that, everyone went to the surface, not far from the spaceship, a sight that made Mary even more unbelievable. Here appeared a strange creature, it was frozen. They speculated that this monster might be the owner of the spaceship. To study what kind of creature this was, the doctor ordered his men to brought the creature back. After the ice block had been transported back to the scientific research station, scientists were all around. Everyone wanted to see this strange alien life. At this time, the doctor took the sampler and walked over. He wanted to take samples for pre-assessment, to confirm that this monster was an alien being. This was opposed by Mary. She thought sterilization was a big problem. However, the Sanders didn't listen to Mary's opinion. He ordered team member to use the drill to break the ice. There was a small piece of cell stuck to the drill bit. After they had examined it, amazingly, the doctor discovered that the monster's DNA didn't belong to any living thing on Earth. After everyone listened to the doctor's explanations, they all rejoiced. This was known as a discovery that shocked the world. To celebrate this historic discovery, everyone had a big party. But then one of the group members suddenly heard the dog barking non-stop in the kennel, so he followed the sound and went to the room where the iceberg was kept. Because he was curious, he looked closely at the iceberg and saw a little bit of melting. But just as he was about to leave, the iceberg suddenly exploded. The alien has come back to life, it struggled and rushed out. The static movement in the warehouse quickly attracted everyone's attention, so they could only quickly split up into small groups and have begun searching around the station study. Another group quickly discovered the alien creature hiding under the roof. Before they could call for help, one of the team members had killed by the monster in an instant, then dragged away by it. Others have heard. They ran over, and discovered the monster was devouring the party member. The remaining members hurriedly opened fire, but the monster had thick armor. Bullets couldn't penetrate. While they were desperate, they had to burn down the whole house, burned this terrible alien creature to death. Then, he brought the charred monster back to the lab to conduct an autopsy on the monster. They suddenly discovered that the unlucky teammate had just been eaten by it and still hadn't digested it. Search even deeper. They discovered in the belly of the monster there was a fixed plate of titanium alloy. The bearded man told the doctor, this fixation belongs to his unlucky teammate. This was originally used to immobilize the arm after the other teammate broke his arm. But strange that the body of the unlucky comrade was still intact. How could this brace come out? Mary was examining the monster's cells. Finally, she discovered on the body of her comrades that there were cells of aliens. These cells also passed through the teammate's cell button and began to imitate the opponent. This discovery left Mary both shocked and appalled. On the second day, pilot Carter was about to leave the base with an injured man. But at this time Mary was in the bathroom to discover metal teeth. She also saw blood stains in the bathroom. She suddenly realized that someone has been infected by aliens. So Mary rushed out to stop the helicopter from leaving. Carter had seen Mary waving and screaming. After a moment of hesitation, he decided to land. But one of the members heard it and started exploding into an alien monster. The helicopter also crashed immediately under Mary's astonished eyes. A blizzard hit the research station, so they also lost contact with the outside world. They decided to move them all to another base. But Mary walked in and stopped everyone from leaving. She told people that alien cells could, through imitation of human cells, mimic the enemy. At this point it was very likely that he had become a complete human, but the alien could not copy the inorganic compound, so it would remove the metal to the outside. By the time I was in the bathroom, the pool of blood that I had seen had been silently cleaned up. That means aliens are one of them. However, the members of the scientific research team did not believe Mary. They were about to drive directly to the adjoining scientific research station. At that time, a female scientist approached Mary. She told Mary that in the morning she saw someone cleaning the toilet. After hearing the words of female scientist, Mary also realized that her guess was correct. Some of them were assimilated by monsters. To prevent monsters from spreading from the base to the outside world, the female scientist took Mary to the warehouse. Mary wanted to get the keys to the sleigh at first, but as soon as she found the key, the female scientist in the back turned into a monster. Mary saw that, she could only quickly rush out. Static movement in the warehouse caught the attention of another team member. But this guy was not so lucky. He was immediately devoured by the monster. At this moment, the bearded man heard the movement and brought a flamethrower that wanted to use it to burn the monsters. After seeing the assimilated person that Mary said, everyone finally believed her word. Mary assumed that the monster might still be lurking in the crowd. So Sander suggested using serum to eliminate potential hazards. At this moment, Carter, who was on the crashed plane, he was going to the last base with his teammates. Because they could not confirm the identities of the two people, so they could only lock two people into the warehouse first. Then through the test to eliminate doubt. However, when people were about to go to the lab for a blood test, the laboratory was suddenly destroyed by fire. They found it impossible to conduct the test. People were starting to doubt each other. Everyone thought that the opponent was definitely a monster. They even fought. At this moment, Mary thought of a way. She thought monsters couldn't copy metals and inorganic compounds, so she eliminated those with metal dentures, then asked the rest to temporarily stand in the corner of the room. When people were arguing about test methods, at this point one of the group members spoke to Mary. Carter and his gang escaped. This caused people to continue arguing. The only member holding a flamethrower also became confused. At this moment the sound of glass breaking suddenly sounded. Carter burst into the house with the flamethrower he had robbed. The two sides confronted each other. Carter's accomplices watched as this comrade prepared to open fire at the instigation of another. He was powerless and he could only shoot first. As a result, the bullet went through the fuel tank, immediately exploded violently. Consequences: several members of the group were injured on the spot. Right when everyone was in a hurry to rescue the injured, one of the sudden members was natural variation. The panic group members could only rush to escape, but they were no match for the monster. Within minutes the members were seriously injured. In the moment of danger, Mary stood up, and she wore a flamethrower to willing to sell back, but the monster was very afraid of fire, quickly run away. So Mary used fire to burn all the bodies. Then the same Carter continued to search for monsters. The two chased to the place and eventually burned this terrifying two-headed monster to death. But just when Mary thought it was over, Dr. Sanders suddenly drove a sleigh away from the base. Mary realized the situation wasn't right. She and Carter drove to chase him and they saw the abandoned sled where the spaceship crashed. Both of them immediately followed the monster and boarded the spaceship. But the spaceship suddenly started up. Mary immediately jumped into the spaceship. There she met the mutant Sander. In a panic, Mary hurriedly hid in the narrow pipe. But in the end she was still dragged out of the pipe by the monster. At the crucial moment, Mary threw the grenade she carried around her into the monster's bloody mouth. The grenade exploded. It not only killed the scary alien but also blew up the spaceship that was about to take off. Mary, with Carter's help, successfully escaped from the spaceship. But just as the two were about to go to the Russian scientific research station for help, Mary discovered that Carter's earring had fallen off. Carter, after being reminded, also mistakenly touched his ear, because she didn't want grassland snakes. Mary didn't say anything. She quietly raised her flamethrower and pointed it at Carter without any hesitation. Burned him to ash in a few days. A few days later, an investigation plane arrived at the base. Looking at the wreckage of the scientific research station, the investigator showed an expression of disbelief. At this moment, a person was hiding in the basement. Lucky Man came up from the basement. After determining that the coroner was human, he told the coroner everything he knew. Turns out, when the fight broke out, he was hiding in the basement. But then an infected dog suddenly jumped out of the rubble. They realized that something was not good. This Lucky Man immediately started chasing the dog. And he tried to kill that dog. Alien monsters were completely annihilated, but in exchange, the team was mutated and destroyed. There were 2 survivors. That was the price to pay for discovering this monster. Everything ended. The movie ends here. How do people see the video? If everyone finds it interesting, please give me a like and a subscribe to support our channel in the upcoming videos. Thanks everyone.